Dragon Ball Super is taking another week's break. So, you know what that means? It's time to do the time warp again, go back to the early 90s and pretend what would happen if Dragon Ball Z came out and we judged it with the exact same ridiculous standards that we use to judge Dragon Ball Super. Hello everyone, my name is Gabby, the year is 1994, and it's time for another Dragon Ball Z review. This time reviewing episode 239. Bulma and the others finally find the last Dragon Ball, being guarded by a long-tongued dragon. But the main cast have difficulties of their own now that Vegeta is dead, but Majin Buu is still alive. They all gather at God's palace while they wait for Goten and Trunks to wake up, but in the meantime, Goku finally wakes up. He meets up with everyone else and their hopes just got a little bit brighter. So according to Filler Watch, pretty much this entire episode was filler. Bulma and the others gather the Dragon Balls, but we don't actually see any of their adventures in the manga apparently. The only thing that is in the manga is Goku waking up and then sort of meeting up with the others. But other than that, pretty much everything in this episode was filler material. So, what did I like about this episode? Well, for starters, when I was watching this, it made me start realizing this arc has started getting really dark. I mean, obviously we have Majin Buu seemingly to just he's already just started ravaging the earth in the meantime. And there's also the fact that, Bulma is getting the Dragon Balls to wish back the people her husband killed with his midlife crisis. Like, there was a lot of sort of like subtle conversations between all these characters, just sort of realizing, and with Bulma and everyone else sort of being like, I feel guilty for all the people my husband murdered, so I need to wish them back, it's my responsibility. And then there's like, Dende and Piccolo talking about, and Krillin just talking about that there's like no hope, and for all they know the entire Earth is doomed because Vegeta is dead, Gohan seems to be out of commission, Goku is going to go back to Earth soon, going to go back to the other world soon. Like the tone of this series is really dark right now, and I don't know what's going to happen, which kind of makes it really even darker. Like, I assume everything's going to be okay in the end, but I don't know for sure. I mean, like I've been saying, I didn't expect Vegeta to sacrifice himself for good, but Vegeta is dead for good now. He's actually been killed off, which is kind of ridiculous considering how popular he was. So, if Vegeta can actually die for good, and Goku is going to go back to the other world after his time is up, it just makes me think how many more people might actually die in this before this Majin Buu business is over. Like, I actually don't know, and that's why it's really intriguing me. I also really liked, obviously you had all the supporting cast looking for the Dragon Balls in this episode, but I honestly really liked Videl. When everyone else was just sort of hesitating to do things, she just sort of jumps in there, head first dives into the water and just tries to get the Dragon Ball. It was really nice to have Videl do something really important, considering that she is Gohan's love interest, and also the fact that it makes it feel like maybe she is still doing something important after getting the shit beaten out of her by Spopovich. And no, I still don't like how that scene was handled. I'm sorry, I know everyone was disagreeing with me, but that's not changing my mind. As for what I didn't like about this episode, first of all, there was a lot of slapstick, like a lot of really immature juvenile slapstick humor. Like, the only reason the dragon was defeated in the first place was because the Muten Roshi farted on it, which I guess is probably entertaining if you're a young child. I am not a young child, so it felt a bit immature to me. Also, now that I know that this is filler, this makes a lot more sense in that, so this seems to be just kind of a Toei thing as opposed to just a thing that is just inherent part of the Dragon Ball franchise. But why is it that every time they do comic relief, it's always at the detriment of another character? Like, it's sort of the same thing as that slapstick humor. It's sort of like the humor is just another character getting downtrodden on, and you're supposed to find that funny, and sometimes I don't find it funny because I enjoy the characters. In this case, it's happening to, the Muten Roshi, who kind of gets forced into the situation by number 18, and also Yamcha. In that Yamcha, despite being way more powerful than everyone else searching for the Dragon Balls, is just kind of hesitantly roped into everything, and he could probably, honestly, he could probably have dealt with that problem within about 5 seconds, but he's just sort of like, I don't want to get my clothes wet, and I don't want to show off my embarrassing briefs, and then that kind of ended up happening, and then it's just, I don't know, this happens a lot, and can we just stop with all the Yamcha jokes? I thought we got over those about, partway through the Android Saga where he's like, don't worry guys, even if I'm pretty much the least useful one here. Thanks to my foray through Filler Watch, I kind of know now that there seems to be a reason for them collecting the Dragon Balls that's actually going to be important later on. But if you just look at this episode, it does seem kind of unnecessary. Just from the context of this episode itself, it just seems to be that they're gathering the Dragon Balls to wish back the people Vegeta killed, but none of the people Vegeta killed were some people that are going to be really important later on, so it seems. So it almost makes you wonder, why are they spending so much time in a random subplot that doesn't seem like it's going to amount to anything? I know what the answer is, it's because filler, because they don't want to overtake the manga, but still, filler can get very annoying when you realize you're watching something that you don't even really need to watch. As for next episode, Goten and Trunks seem to be their only hope to defeat Majin Buu, and Goku seems to have a new technique that he can teach the boys, something to do with having them fuse together into one even stronger warrior. Which honestly sounds really interesting, but I think I'm going to reserve my judgment of that for actually next episode when we see what it actually is. So that was Dragon Ball Z episode 239. It was bog standard filler. Some nice interactions, some not so nice and exaggerated interactions, and the whole fact that if you really look at the episode, you didn't really need to watch it, unless you really wanted to see those few minutes of Goku waking up and then everyone being happy that Goku was back. Normally I have more to talk about when they do filler episodes like this, but here it was just very bog standard, just we're gonna find the last Dragon Ball, there's a Dragon Ball, then a dragon swallows it, and now we fight the dragon, and that's it. Now we got the Dragon Ball. So really, there wasn't really that much to talk about. This is the problem about reviewing a show like this every week, in that because there is so much filler, sometimes I feel like I'm actually running out of things to say about filler. So I honestly kind of hope they could try and maybe tone it down a little, or maybe put more padding in, or something that can make me actually say more about an episode, because I was very excited for when they came up with like completely new filler arcs, but those always inevitably ended up disappointing me, so maybe just putting in the filler in between episodes like this is a bit better than just doing a whole arc of it that's just really forgettable and stupid. Either way, this is Gabby, signing out, and I'll see you all next week. Bye guys! At least Dragon Ball Super doesn't really have filler. I don't think I would have actually been able to review all 291 episodes of Dragon Ball Z week by week. I feel like I would have just gotten fatigued from all that filler. But then again, it would have also taken 6 years, and I can't even imagine working on a project for that long. Anyway, this is Gabby, signing out, and I'll see you all next week for the Vegeta vs. Frost fight. I'm a little apprehensive, a little excited, and I just really want to know what's going to happen in the story. So bye guys!